What's going on, Bills Mafia? The Buffalo Bills just got a double dose of major news as we have a new update surrounding the James Cook situation. Very dramatic. Ian Rappaport gave some insight on it as he made a move that might anger some Bills fans. And then the Bills are hosting some top 30 NFL draft visits. With only 3 weeks to go until the 2025 draft, we got to discuss the names that Buffalo is hosting here and could select in 2025. But first, let's talk about Cook. The thing that he did, it's kind of interesting, right? Like, it could be nothing, could be something, but he listed his Orchard Park house for sale. And it's just odd considering that Brandon Beane's comments just came out about he and Cook's camp not really being close on any contract extension, not probably going to get done this offseason, and they're going to push it down to next year when Cook will be a free agent. So we'll talk more about James Cook's situation. Ian Rappaport had some comments in just a moment, but let me know if you guys want James Cook on the Bills long-term by liking today's video. Show some love to number 4, home run hitter on this Bills offense, one of the most dynamic weapons in the AFC. Let me know. Hit that like button if you guys want James Cook in Buffalo long-term. So Ian Rappaport went on the Pat McAfee show to talk more about this situation and the drama behind it. And he said it's not great. It's not great overall. And I don't think it is either. Like, a guy listed his house for sale. He wants to move. Like, he thinks his days in Buffalo are numbered. Not great overall. But Rappaport did say this as well, expanding on the situation. He said he'll play for the Bills next year. The house is for sale. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but players know it gets reported. So when you do that, that's a pretty big statement. You don't need to do it. Does it really affect things? I don't know, but everyone notices. So yeah, like, he's obviously doing this for a little sense of attention, but it also could be a nothing burger. Like, it could be just him nudging the Bills front office, trying a last ditch effort to try to get paid this offseason. But again, it is going to be reported publicly, and it's out there if you guys want to go look it up. But yeah, it's just not a great situation overall for Cook to be listing his house with 1 year left on his contract, and there's no extension talks in sight at this point. More from Rappaport here. He said, I know the negotiations didn't go great. I do know he's a player the Bills would like to have in their future because he's young and he's awesome on the field. I'm not sure him coming out and saying he wanted to make $15 million was the most welcome thing for the organization. And I get it. I understand James Cook wants to get paid, but going on IG Live and pinning the comment that you want $15 million a year, it's kind of childish in my opinion. And it's just something that, should be kind of done behind closed doors. You never really see too many players around the NFL publicly announcing the figure that they want to receive on their contract. So it's just weird overall. The way that he's kind of going about things right now, he should probably talk to somebody about how to be a little bit more professional in this setting. But I understand he wants to get paid because he's been an elite player for Buffalo in his career thus far, and he's gotten better every single season. If you look at the numbers, he's coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons where he's toting the rock for nearly 5 yards a carry. He's not fumbling much anymore. And we're in a situation where he's a home run hitter. He's one of the most dynamic weapons on Buffalo's offense, one of the most constant pieces on Buffalo's offense. You see the receivers coming in and out, and they're kind of running a committee. James Cook is the one superstar, the RB1 on this team, no doubt about it, and he's a guy who elevates his game in the biggest moments. In the playoffs this past year, he was running for 90 yards a game, like upping his numbers from about 60 during the regular season to 90 yards a game, hitting these home runs, scoring a touchdown in all 3 games, and I guess averaging a touchdown in all 3 games. Toting the rock over 5 yards a carry. And he's not fumbling the ball either. But at the same time, is Buffalo willing to commit $15 million a year to a player who couldn't be on the field for the last drive of the AFC Championship against KC because he couldn't pass block and Josh Allen was under immense pressure from the Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah, it wasn't happening. And then I know Josh wasn't sacked or anything like that, but he was under duress, and Buffalo needed to add security back there in the form of Ty Johnson and Ray Davis to be able to provide that pass blocking ability. James Cook just doesn't have that in his game at this point. So is Buffalo willing to commit a huge chunk of their cap when they're already in cap hell on James Cook? I'm not so sure. More from Rappaport here to close things up. He said, I think they can get back together and maybe get on the same page and somehow do a deal. Theoretically, it's not going to be anytime soon, and I think there will have to be a conversation to get everyone back on the same page and maybe reel back some of what's been public. Yeah, You think like something has to be done. Like there has to be some mending of a relationship here because it doesn't feel like James Cook is too happy with the Bills front office, and probably vice versa with the public statements that he's made. Brandon Beane can't be too happy with number 4 either. But I do predict that Cook will get paid in some capacity. I think it's going to be a franchise tag in 2026. And I know that's not really the way that Beane has gone about things. You don't see too many Bills franchise tags year in and year out. So is this going to be something new that Buffalo tries to keep a guy, for the next couple of seasons of his career? He's 25. You're going to see the best years of his career come in age 26 and age 27 seasons. So could a franchise tag be in the work? And then, maybe the year following be a franchise tag. And you don't have to keep him there long term and end up getting burned down the line when he's not as productive of a player, at age 28, 29, 30. Let me know what you guys think will happen with James Cook, though. Predict his future after this coming season. Will it be an extension? Will it be a franchise tag? Or will he end up leaving the Buffalo Bills? I know. I want James Cook here long term personally because I know how dynamic of a player he is on the football field. But the antics, they're kind of getting to be too much right now. Let me know what you guys think. Extension, franchise tag, or leaves Buffalo after the 2025 NFL season. Now let's talk about the Bills' top 30 visits. It's kind of crazy. You'd expect more names to be on this list, but we only have 3 confirmed so far with only 20 days to go until the NFL draft. We'll start with Shavon Revel Jr., the cornerback out of ECU. Elite physical traits. He can run up and down the field like nobody else, but there are some injury concerns. And the Bills, we know they're familiar with injuries at the cornerback spot. Lance Zierlein of NFL.com had this scouting report on Revel. He said, big, long, and fast are the physical descriptions that stand out for the East Carolina corner. Revel is leggy when it comes to matching press release, but he's disruptive once he gets his hands on the wide out. He plays upright in man coverage, tends to allow small pockets of separation due to high center of gravity, and still needs improvement when it comes to finding and defending the deep ball, despite his ability to stay in phase with vertical routes. He has ideal length and good vision from zone, and he should continue to improve in that coverage with more experience. Revel suffered a torn ACL in September, but his measurables, explosiveness, and upside gives him a good chance to become an early starter. And that's what Buffalo needs at this point. Let's be honest. Buffalo does need a corner that can go out there and play pretty much day one. They got the extension for Benford done. Doesn't look like they'll be adding much more, cap allocations to a cornerback in free agency, so they're going to have to go to address that need in the first couple of rounds of the 2025 draft. And Beane has expressed that he wants to add size and speed to this Buffalo team. Well, Revel does just that. He's above 6'3". He runs like a 4.3 40. He does it all. And in coverage, yes, he only played 3 games. Like we mentioned, he got hurt in September, missed the remainder of the season. But man, he allowed a passer rating of 49, still picked off 2 passes, had a defensive touchdown, only allowed under 200 yards in coverage over those 3 games. And, it was a 33% completion rate on him when he was targeted. So not bad at all. And if you look back to 2023, the stats jump off the page as well. He had 14 PBUs, allowed a passer rating of 61. That's electric. And this is a player who's got a ton of upside. He's getting comparisons to guys like Reek Woolen, who were super raw and ended up getting drafted, round 5 to Seattle. But we know that it was an absolute steal for them as he's been able to be an elite corner on the outside in Seattle. Benjamin St-Juste, another athletic freak at the corner spot, is another name that he's getting attached to. So I like this fit in Buffalo. Big, strong, fast outside cornerback. That's a need that they have on this team. We'll see if they go that route in the first 2 rounds of the draft. Next, coming up is Femi Oladejo. I got it. Let's go. Femi Oladejo, he's a beast out of UCLA, the edge rusher. And I know, Bills fans, if you're looking at your first 3 top 30 visits here, edge might not be the position that, people are super keen on at this point. But I do think Buffalo needs some depth in that area, especially with Joey Bosa only on a 1-year deal. And we know the injury history with him. BJ Monticelli of Buffalo Rumblings was at the scouting combine, and he had this to say about Oladejo. He said he's rising on draft boards and likely won't be around when Buffalo's on the clock in round 2, so a trade-up might have to happen. That said, Oladejo has traits and some exciting flashes on film that make him a tasty prospect, oozing with potential. Crazy, tasty prospect. I get it, whatever. Bills could use a raw edge, though. This is somebody, they have an established D-line for this season at this point. Obviously, we know they have to address defensive tackle. I know, don't kill me in the comments. But with Joey Bosa, on the wrong side of 30 and his injury concerns and only being on that 1-year deal, you need more developmental raw prospects to learn from a guy like Joey Bosa and to be able to become that elite edge rusher. I don't know if A.J. Epinesa is necessarily going to be the guy for Buffalo long term. We saw his deficiencies last season. They just extended Greg Rousseau, who's going to be a pillar of this defense for years to come. But who knows next season? Who knows how many games that Joey Bosa is going to play this season? Like, he could be out the door. 1 year in Buffalo, gone, and then you're going to have another guy stepping up at that edge spot. Oladejo has elite physical traits, and he's put up a bunch of production at UCLA where he really carved out his role. Had 5 sacks last season in 12 games, 33 pressures, so he's almost averaging 3 pressures a game. He's able to get his hand on the football as well, swatting it at the line of scrimmage, 2 pass breakups. And this is a guy who's gotten better with time and with more experience. Like, the stats don't jump off the page when he was at Cal, but then once he transitioned and got to UCLA, this is a West Coast guy, and he just totally blossomed in his last season with the most opportunity that he had. So I like this fit, and somebody who could learn from a Bosa, learn from a Rousseau, who came into the draft as a very, very raw athletic prospect as well. I like the fit, but I'll right hand up. I want the Bills to go D tackle before they go edge. Let me know what you guys think. What position group should Buffalo target with their first round pick or the first pick, whether it's trading up, trading back, I don't know. With their first pick in the draft, what position should the Bills target in 2025? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. And last but not least, Isaiah Bond. Another position group that Buffalo needs to improve upon, in my opinion, the wide receiver out of Texas, the speedster, who maybe didn't have the best 2024 season that everybody was hoping for, but the traits that we've seen, the flashes that you've seen from Bond, They say that he can be an elite NFL player at the next level. Here's what Lance Zierlein had to say about Bond. He said, fluid, fast, and untapped. Bond is an explosive athlete with above-average skill. He simply needs more targets to reach his potential. He's well-suited for the NFL game and could become a very good pro within his first 3 seasons. And I mean, that's another thing that Buffalo needs as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Contributors who can play right away and make big plays. Keon Coleman, going to have a big year too. You're going to need a big year out of Josh Palmer, who they gave $12 million a year to in this offseason. You're going to need Khalil Shakir, who just got the extension, to be the safety net for Josh in the passing game. And then Bond, a guy who can just turn on the burners and get down the sideline. I think Buffalo will take at least one wide receiver in the draft, and I assume that they will address a speedy one, and Bond could be that guy on day 2. In 2024, not going to jump off the page. He did have 10 touchdowns, which is like insane considering he only had 540 yards on the season. But overall, was not, the flashiest 1,000-yard, 1,200-yard guy that had him pegged as a top 5 receiver in this draft coming into the season. Last year, the year before at Alabama, he was showing that he was going to flash the star potential that could make him a first-round pick in an upcoming NFL draft. But he just didn't take the top off enough this season with, inconsistent quarterback play in Texas as well. So you got to keep that in mind. But I do think Bond, as far as a guy who's getting comparisons to Jalen Waddle, could definitely be a factor in Buffalo's offense. Also could be a guy who slips to late round 2, as he's, consensus about the 10th best wide receiver in this class right now. Buffalo's got a couple of picks late in that second round, and one of those could be used on Isaiah Bond. But, man, with only 3 top 30 visits right now, we're less than 3 weeks away from the 2025 draft, it's kind of crazy that we haven't heard more names visiting Buffalo with them having 10 selections here in 2025. Could that mean a trade-up is coming with them sacrificing some volume in their draft capital to move up and select more premium talent? We'll keep you guys tapped in right here at the Bills Breakdown. That's why you subscribe to the channel for everything Bills draft, James Cook, rumors, trades. It does not matter. We are covering it here on the Bills Breakdown. So lock us in as your #1 spot for Bills coverage on YouTube. Hit that sub button. We'll see you guys all in the next one. And as always, go Bills.